What advice would you give brokers starting out now, and what do you wish you did differently when you first started out?
The first thing I think people need to know is that it's very unlikely that you're going to have an overnight success, right? If you look at the most successful agents in the market, they've been doing it for a long time, right? So the first thing I think you need to be prepared for is to give it time, right? To commit at least, to be honest, a couple of years to this job. Because if you're expecting to be earning big money in 3-4 months, there's a very good chance you're going to be disappointed. It's not impossible. It does happen sometimes, but the vast majority of agents that do make it, like, it took me 3 months to do my first sale. And anyone I speak to in a similar position has a similar story to tell. So I would say give it time and also resilience, right? There's a lot of disappointment in this job. Sometimes you can do a perfect work for your client and you just, in the end, some personal circumstance means that they don't buy, right? And you end up with nothing in your pocket. So you need to be resilient and willing to give it time. One of the things I wish I did was be more organized. I'm a very one of my sort of talents is that I've always been quite good at winging it. So that's a skill when it comes to real estate, because there's so much knowledge. You need to be able to think on your feet, right? So the ability to do that really served me well, but at the same time, I feel I missed a lot of opportunity. I've spoken to thousands and thousands of people. Had I organized that database properly, I could be, sending campaigns and so many different things that could be yielding incredible results 12 years later. I didn't do that. So now looking back at it, whenever we have a new agent join the business, I, try to get them to understand the value of the CRM system, the value of follow-ups with your clients, of building those long-term relationships, because it's so important.
And also what I would add is not only clients who want to buy, clients who are renting now, clients who are even here and renting something short term. These can become really good clients later down the line.
Yeah, I was listening to the podcast of Allsop and Allsop, and I think they had Dr. Michael Waters on there. Mm-hmm. Really good guy. And in his book, which he recently released, he mentioned something that the average tenant becomes a buyer in 3 years. So
probably quicker now with the current state,
potentially, yeah. Right? So when you think about that, when you're doing rentals, the sheer volume of people you're speaking to is amazing, right? And if a very good agent would develop that sort of follow-up method with all of those people, in 3 years' time, they could have an amazing database of potential buyers. And as you said, a lot of those people will make that move a lot quicker now, especially with the prices of rents these days.
100%. One of our agents, senior agents, that's what she used to do. Whenever she had no clients, had nothing to do, she would go through all the clients, anybody she has ever spoken to, whether it's a POA, PA, tenant, and she would always close a deal just from her phone book. So I think that's really valuable advice.
There's we see a lot of agents sitting in the office and struggling to sort of get busy, right? You as an agent, you want to be busy. Your day is not necessarily structured, so you want to fill that in with things to do. And I think that agent you were talking about has a good ability to be proactive, right? She doesn't wait for the clients to contact her. She contacts the clients and sees how they can help. And there's so much opportunity to be proactive, right? If you dropped messages out there to your database, you're saying, is there anything I can help you with? Are you struggling with your landlord, or are you need anything at all? There's so much potential outreach that you could have.
I also think we very much focus on WhatsApp or calls to reach out to clients, but there's also so many other ways where you can go prospect. Whenever I go out anywhere, even just walking or whatever, and I tell people I'm in real estate, that person usually has some sort of interest in real estate. Yeah. So I think if agents just really got out there and thought of different ways to prospect apart from the phone, the opportunities would be endless.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people this. Everyone is connected to real estate, right?
Especially in Dubai.
Exactly, right? We all need a place to stay, right? Which means we need to rent a place. Many of those people choose to buy. And, you know, if they are renting, situations are constantly changing for them. One story I have on that, which I find quite interesting, is the first person that ever worked with McComb Properties alongside me was my mum.
Oh, wow.
So my mum raised 5 children, which now being a first-time father, I know how much work that would have been. And when I set up the business, my younger brothers, who are twins, they turned 18. So basically, as a mum, she felt, okay, all my babies are grown up. What do I do now? And my dad actually said, well, why don't you get your mum involved in the business? So she did. And what was amazing about my mum is that she took it with the same sort of approach that she took motherhood, right? So she just cared. She cared so much. But she never opened up a laptop. It took her a couple of years to get used to working on the iPhone. It just wasn't her thing, and she'll be the first person to admit it. But my parents at the time lived in Old Town, and if you walk through Old Town, even today, because I actually look quite a lot like my mum, people will still stop me and say, hey, are you Joanna's son? Yeah. And it's exactly that. She would just talk to everyone. And she would, as an agent, she would always drop it in there that she was doing real estate, and we used to have to buy her business cards every couple of weeks because she was just constantly handing them out. So on your point, absolutely, there's so much you can do.
I think we should use our strength, because a lot of people, let's say, maybe some are shy, maybe some don't like calling or whatever, so just find your strength and use it. And
absolutely.
Such as social media, for example. What I tell people is social media takes a lot of time, and if you're not passionate about it, there's no point to do it. Don't think that you will start social media and all of a sudden leads are going to fly in. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think Zoheb was probably the first person I saw where I was like, okay, this guy's really on it, right? And I was always on LinkedIn. I was never on Instagram, never even thought of TikTok. And I just used to see him doing these videos. And at first, I'm not going to lie, I was probably one of those that, at least in my mind, kind of thought, this guy's just do your job, right? Why do you need to do all of this? And
hope Zoheb is listening to this.
Yeah. And it was only like probably a year later after he started that we were putting so much effort into growing the business. And one of our the head of our leasing at the time and our recruiter was saying, guys, you've got a good company here, you're doing things well, but no one knows you. And we were like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. And that got us into social media. And it's been a long haul. We've been doing it now for, I think, 8 months. Every single week, going out and doing shoots and posting every single day. But it's just one more thing that you can do as an agent to get yourself out there. But like everything, as you said, it takes time. The first 6 months, we were you and me have the benefit that we have a company that we're also looking to build, right? But in terms of leads, I would get a lot of tenants asking how to renew their contract, right? And that's good. I love helping in that way. But leads, they only just started coming in the last couple of months, and we're actually converting some of them now, and it's great to see because it's very rewarding. I think when you've put so much effort into something and then you get the results, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, this is what I said to some of the new guys that started. Social media, if you're passionate about it, do it. But your number one lead generator for secondary market will be property portals. Yeah. So if you have the listings, this is what you should focus on. This is where the clients are going to come from. Yeah. And social media is just an added bonus, like a cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so in our office, we have a social media team, and we encourage the agents to use it. We don't force it on anyone, and we have very mixed results. We have some people who are very passionate about it, and the social media team love working with them because they can go out there and they know that person's going to come prepared. At the same time, we have a lot of agents that just don't engage with it, and as you said, given that it still isn't the main lead generation platform, I've got no problem with that, right? If it's not what they want to do right now, then don't do it. Focus on the portals and stuff. And the portals are still by far the biggest lead gen. I mean, there's no comparison. So. Yeah.